been about a year now, and this watch still leaves me in awe every time I wear it. If you're not familiar with this watch, that's because Seiko is ashamed to market this bad boy. It is quite pricey compared to the usual high-end Seikos, which are called SLAs. I'm not sure how or why they decided to release this watch, but this is not the first dive watch with the Seiko name and the spring drive all together. That will be the SBDB001, where the SNR029 took heavy inspiration from. Before buying this watch, I always thought of it as my grail watch, the one that will satisfy the hunger for the it watch, which we all know if you are a few years into the hobby, that is not the case, and it is a lie we tell ourselves, so we do anything to buy that said grail watch. Eventually, they will release a newer, slimmer, smaller or larger, and a much improved movement at some point. That's just how it goes with everything. But for today, I'm making this video to commemorate my appreciation for this watch, as long as it is here. The day that I got this watch, I took a video of it for proof, obviously, that the watch arrived in good packaging and was working, and that nothing was damaged or anything. It was built like no other Seiko I've ever seen before. It's not the usual SKX or Seiko Turtle I used to have. It's much more massive and lustrous as heck. That spring drive there is one of the biggest reasons why I decided to go for this watch. I already had the Marine Master 300, and I was looking for the best that Seiko has to offer. Grand Seiko divers didn't give me the same excitement as compared to the Seiko ones, and they also don't have the same history in terms of dive watches as compared to Seiko. It was off the list. I'm glad though, because I had the opportunity to hold and wear a Grand Seiko diver, the SPGA 463, and to be honest, the LX is already a Grand Seiko. Yes, I have said this plenty of times. It is a fact in terms of finish because these watches are made in the same watch studio as the Grand Seiko ones are. Quick dimensions of the watch are here, and I have to say, it is a big watch, but it does not feel like it at all, because it is titanium, only having a weight of 154 grams. That's impressive for an almost 45mm watch. Now, for someone who has small wrists, people will say, oh, it looks too big on your wrist or too small or whatever the case may be. That should not be an issue. You wear the watch that you want, and if the wrist size is not an issue, neither should be the opinions of others. Don't just limit yourself to watches you can only wear because you have this or that wrist size. You would be missing out on a lot of watches if you only have a specific size of watch. Try wearing one and you'll see it's not that bad at all. I once had a Graham Chronofighter, which was a humongous watch at 47mm, but I liked it and it didn't stop me from wearing it. All I'm saying is, if you can, enjoy all sorts of watches, so you can create a conclusion for yourself that you are leaning towards your true taste in watches. The case is holding up wonderfully. Scratches are only present on the bracelet. That is to be expected, but the case seems to be in immaculate condition, at least for me, considering I took this in almost every outing I had. It was my go-to adventure watch. I just know that the time would always be close to perfect. I previously said that it is too tall and might hit a lot of doorways or hard objects. That is actually not the case. I find it the same as other watches of thinner case size. There's nothing really troubling about the height. The lightness of the watch negates the large and the thick size of it. The bracelet is a 22mm titanium bracelet, and it's one of Seiko's most comfortable bracelets ever. It just sits on the wrist so comfortably, and it doesn't get tiring wearing it all day, as compared to the SLA 021 or any other heavy watch. This can be daily worn without any issues at all, so in terms of wearability, this is excellent. The dial plays with light so well that it makes you just want to look at it all the time. Besides the wonderful gliding of the spring drive, it is a beautiful watch in general. The lume on this watch is just on another level. It might be the most lume-filled indices Seiko had to fill. No cutting of corners or anything, just the best for the best. The bezel click is also buttery smooth, and I like the grippy feeling when turning it. Again, this bezel looks and feels similar on those SLA 055, 057 divers. In terms of accuracy, I get about plus 6 seconds per month. That's about 1 second every 5 days. Insanely accurate. There is no competition in terms of accuracy on wristwatches. So far, everything I have said are all positive. Let's get down to the negatives. Let's get the usual ones first. First, it is expensive. Yes, at retail, you're looking at around $6,000 US. That is no joke. Luckily, I got mine on the secondary market and for around 3,500 US dollars. I'm not sure if it's luck because I spent that much money on a watch. Maybe just got a discount would be the proper term. Anyway, the other downside is people complain about the size. Yes, we already discussed that. The other one is the bracelet. I have discussed this when I compared the SLA021 and the SNR029 video, that the bracelet is scratch prone, which it is. Small amounts of contact with the metal surface will definitely leave a mark. Even though it is with the hard coating as Seiko would market it, it is not that scratch resistant. Servicing the watch will also be an issue since you will have to send the watch to Japan, as it is the only place they will service a spring drive as of today. In terms of price, it would be at around $535. I'm not sure if that includes shipping. Well, the watch is expensive, so the maintenance would also be expensive. An 8L35, for example, would also cost as much as $400 US, something to keep in mind. Now that we are talking about the negatives, I think that is pretty much it. Honestly, I am biased because I have this watch. For some people, the other negatives might be deal breakers, but for me, it is not enough to overshadow my love for this watch. I find it hard to find anything else negative to say about it, so if you want someone to talk you out of buying this watch, I'm not the person you should see. Speaking of buying, why would you buy this watch? I mean, for most of you here, you're just interested in the build quality and the look of this watch. But for a few who are in the market for one, all I can say is that you really have to love the Seiko dive watches. You might be crazy like me who only buys Seiko dive watches, at least for now. You might also have a deep love for the Marine Master lineup since this watch is based on the Marine Masters. There are just too many watches out there that are trying to grab your cash. There are a lot of brands that you can explore instead of buying the Seiko. Does it feel like an ordinary Seiko? Of course not. It feels like a top tier watch, even better than some competitors. You see, it is just a matter of preference on where you are in your collecting stage and if you have a history with Seiko watches. Maybe it is your first watch or special watch, or maybe you would like to build a history and would like to have the best of the best in an instant. This is the watch. Nothing else is being done by Seiko to market this LX line because, as someone who owns Seiko watches, a spring drive on a Seiko name is where it should be. It does not only have to be on the Grand Seiko lines. After a year, this is what I've compiled, and it is from wearing it and using it as it should. I wish to build more memories with this watch, if only I stopped acquiring new ones. Still, this LX will be part of the collection for a while. It still serves a purpose in my collection. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Stay safe.